Greetings. Welcome to a Thursday edition now of the RAD podcast. We're back for our fifth season. And my name is Larry Jefferson. Thank you for everyone who's in attendance and those who will go over this later.
Yeah, most definitely, and glad to be here. And it's crazy, man. I was doing the numbers, running the numbers before we started, just to kind of give our audience, just thanks for being with us. So this season, once we end, we will have a total of 50 episodes, bro. 50
Dang.
episodes under the name Rad Podcast, but if you go back previously to all the episodes that we've done prior to, it'll be a total of 75. So,
Okay. Okay.
man, it's
Man.
been a crazy
Well,
long road, man.
making sense of diversity.
I know, right? And man, I was sitting there just thinking to ourselves, man, I was like, wow, like that's a lot of work. You know what I mean? And so I
A lot of
know,
on-screen time that I'm not used to.
right. And then what's crazy is a lot of people have been hitting me up or hitting our Instagram up because I put the hashtag final season on there, and everybody's like, "What is the final season?" Like, no, like Rad Podcast has got to continue. And I was like, man, if you just knew.
Just getting somebody to sign. Hey, do you want to do? Do you want to join? Do you want to join? Do you want to join? And it's a lot of work behind the scenes.
Yeah, and a lot of people think
Yeah.
that. I think a lot of people think like, it's our final season because of the whole SB 17, and that has nothing to do with us at all. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it does, but it doesn't, right? Like, it's not the reason why we're allowing this or making this our final season. It's just that new opportunities have sparked themselves for both of us, and
Right on.
going to
Yeah.
explore
Yeah.
and do what we
Yeah.
got to do.
Yeah. Did you even introduce yourself?
Oh, I didn't. I didn't. I apologize. I got to start talking, man. I'm rambling. Dantrayl Smith, great city of Memphis. The co-head duo of this dynamic podcast. Love to be here. Thanks for all the guests that have joined us tonight. And Larry, I got to say, I'm looking forward to this go round. I think this is going to be probably our best round yet. So
It's gonna be hard to top the misconceptions of black men. That was my favorite by far.
yeah,
For me, that was my favorite.
no, I agree with you. I think that one was our jump start and really kind of got us going, increased our networks. But the reason why I say about this season is because a lot of people know who we are now,
Hmm.
and it's crazy when I reach out to people on LinkedIn, read their profiles, go to their websites and stuff, and then I say, "Hey, I want you to, come on our podcast show. I think the work that you're doing is definitely aligned with what we're trying to articulate to our viewers and our listeners." And people are like, "What? Like you want me on the show?" Like, yes, I want to be there. And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like
Hey
I'm begging,
man,
you begging.
I'll say this, man. If anybody ever questioned your persistence, I would know they were lying because you are one persistent brother. Hey, I give you all kudos because I was like, Dantrayl can handle that. Like, oh, go, well, no, reach out to this person. No, reach out to this person. I said, because if it was me, I'd be like, forget it. Let's do something different. So I give you much salutes to that, man. Kudos for taking care of that part of making sure that the RAD podcast had adequate and knowledgeable guests to speak to the topics that we will address for this season.
Yep, yep. Appreciate it, brother.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of, do we want to start talking about that?
Yeah. Let's dive in. So, um, as you all know, over the course of the time that we've been doing this, we've always tried to improve based upon the feedback that we receive from a lot of our listeners, whether that's here live or our listeners that listen to our audio platforms. We try to receive all feedback and look at it and try to, um, Larry and I do a retreat during the summer where we go back and forth pretty hard about which topics make the best sense, and just kind of including all the data that we received. And so we've broken it up again into mini series. And so this first mini series that we're going to kick off um, is dealing with unveiling the intentional glass walls of self segregation. And so this is really a thought provoking series that really dives deep into the complexities of really human interaction, right? So societal barriers, constructs that are placed on so many of us in so many different levels that I think we don't really get a chance to talk about. Like we have those conversations inadvertently when we're in certain spaces, right? Like we're with our friends, significant others, so forth and so on. But to have a platform like this where it's out in front and how it really affects us, I think is really, really kind of cool. So we'll talk about, some of the psychosocial, psychology, the cultural, social dynamics. I mean, all of that when we talk about the glass walls, right? Whether that's in a job, so forth, family, the way different ethnicities within themselves see each other. And so
Hmm.
it's going to be a really, really good series. And so next week, kicking it off as we talk about self segregation within the Hispanic community. And man, the brother we got coming on, man, I put him against a lot, man. I put him against a lot.
I think it'll be a great conversation because oftentimes you look and you see the Hispanic community and you see togetherness, and then you talk to certain people and you hear about the division that occurs so often in the community, especially when certain individuals make it. So being able to dive into that, have those conversations, and get to the outline or the bottom line or whatever you want to call it of why that happens and how others perceive one another, I think is going to be really dope, especially being that I look at them and I'm like, man, they're a together group.
Mm.
So to understand and get a better comprehension of what takes place in that community, I'm definitely looking forward to it, especially being a lot of that community are individuals that we currently serve.
Yeah.
So
And,
should be good.
and I think also it shows that we all have similar or somewhat are fighting against similar issues, if that makes sense, right? And so um, I think in regards to the actual ethnicity groups, we all have our complex challenges that we're
Right.
having to face. But I think in the general speaking or the overarching, they it sounds the same, right? And so being able
Hmm.
to just hear different perspectives gives you an open eye to say, oh, really? Like I had no clue that that was
Right.
a challenge that you all actually face. Like in my mind, like I'm under the assumption that you all don't have that issue, right? Like
Right, right, right.
you can walk into those spaces, right? And so being able to kind of dive in and share some of those conversations with colleagues is, I think, is going to be really good. So next week's going to be one hell of a show.
Yeah. And a great learning opportunity too.
Yep. So the week after that, we'll skip as co-host. We'll be going out of town, and so we have some other things that are taking precedence. So we will actually be skipping a week. So please, please, please make sure you stay tuned, stay locked in with us. But we won't be here for that October 3rd session. And then we come back the following week, and we'll be dealing with self segregation within the Black communities. And man, this sister that we have coming, this is what I was talking about. Like, this lady has been in the field, in the trenches, man, for like 30, 40 plus years, has got all these recognitions and awards as it relates to self segregation. And when we made the phone call and was like, hey, we want you on the show, she was like, yo, like, I want
Right.
to be there. You know what I mean? And I was like, but you get all these awards, distinguished, you know what I mean? And you want to take the time out to come on our show, like that's just when you know the work you're doing really makes a difference, right? And so I'm looking forward to man, just being in a room with her virtually is going to be awesome, but to really have the opportunity just to hear from her experience and just kind of really shed light on um, a lot of the issues or some of the issues that we face within the Black community is going to be powerful. Like,
Yeah, I got chill bumps thinking about it because um, being that I am African American and knowing how different that we can be. And we just had a conversation the other day in my office about what is crippling us to grow as a community, what is uh, kind of blocking us to take that next step or take it as a next level. And then why do individuals look at us as the way that they do? So to have her on and have that conversation to talk about us internally and then how other individuals view us, yeah, I think it's going to be real good.
yeah, and you know, it's just the system that's created a divide. Like my brother and I, we talk about it all the time. Is you know, if we were just to come together on and agree on one issue, right? Like one thing to tackle. Like let's just take for example, you know, creating our own farms, right? Like and producing our own food. Like that in itself coming together would just be awesome. And so,
Yeah, you have somebody arguing why we making that, why we
right?
growing that. I don't like that. I don't eat that. So
It's like no, we gotta move away from that type of language, that type of conversation, and really kind of focus in on the things that help us work together. And so, can't give her a name, but she's definitely well renowned, and she's gonna be bringing the heat. And her other individual that we have that's going to be going along with her. She has her own podcast, and I had the opportunity to kind of listen to just her testimony and the fight that she and her family had to deal with coming from Africa over to the United States, and just the perceptions that she had to overcome, not only within herself but just within the neighborhood that her and her family lived in. Man, it's just a brought tears to my eyes just to hear her experience on her podcast, and so um, I think our listeners are really going to enjoy that episode.
absolutely.
So next, after that, we're switching gears, and I think probably one of the hottest topics in America right now is Project 2025, and everybody's like, "Ooh, y'all gonna really hit that?" It's like, yes, we're really
You
gonna
might
hit.
get fired.
Yeah. Hey, that's the
They
reason why
may
we do it at
fire me
7 o'clock.
because she don't nobody want to do my job.
They sure don't, brother. But you know, hey, it's after 7 o'clock when we do it, so hey, they can't say that, man. It's off our job time. But um,
Right.
you know, when Larry and I were doing our retreat, we um, were thinking, okay, what is the topic that everybody's been asking about? And it's Project 2025, right? Like a lot of people have a lot of questions. A lot of people have just their own personal views on how Project 2025 is going to affect them. And so, if you haven't had an opportunity, please, please, please look up Project 2025. It is a devastating document to read, and actually um, will make you angry a little
Right.
bit reading it. And
And
so,
it's a long read, so take your time, read over it a few days. But like Dantrayl said, it is a something that'll kind of get up under your skin a little bit.
yeah. And so, if you haven't had opportunity, so Project 2025 is is broken up into I think 6 or 7 different areas. And
Hmm.
so, of course, we don't have the time to focus on every single area, but we're going to hit based upon the feedback that we've gotten from listeners in terms of topics that were of high interest and that had raving reviews, had a lot of questions. So we're going to be our first episode within that series is going to be the reconstruction of the White House reigns. And so, in that episode, we'll really dive into the intrinsic processes and challenges that are really involved in reshaping what the government will be doing under that new policy and procedures, right? And so, really talking about who is in control, who's not in control, what's it going to potentially look like if this passes or this comes into fruition, and just kind of really giving us a really good idea of looking through that nation's lens. And so, the two individuals that we have coming up for that one, whoo, they they hit you with it. I mean, a lot of knowledge. So our listeners gonna have to be ready to take a lot of notes because um, it's really gonna change, man. Like if I don't want to say I try not to speak it into fruition, right? Because words have power, but it definitely can really make a toll on the way we govern ourselves.
All it
So
takes is the election. It based off of what happens with the election, and if a certain individual gets into office and puts this into play and actually moves it forward, then it's going to be devastating to this country. Well, to certain people in the country, should I say?
yeah, I've heard I've had a lot of conversations with peers that have said that if the government moves a certain direction, I'll just say it like that. They're willing to leave this country, man,
Dual
because
citizenship. Hey, we already been talking about it. We've been talking about dual citizenship for a while. We've done our research and all that kind of stuff. And it's just more so just to think deeper and understand that this may not be a safe place to be. And therefore, I got to look out for myself, my family, my parents, my siblings, and make plans accordingly. So if you've not looked into dual citizenship, then I strongly suggest you do so
yeah.
or get ready for the purge.
uh,
I
so you
don't
talk
want to get into that.
about citizenship, man. Where would you do dual citizenship, Eric, man? Just out of curiosity.
Africa.
Yeah.
Um, it's certain places in Africa that will allow you to do it. You just got to read into it. Being that we've been to Ghana, I thought that was a no-brainer, but they have restrictions that will prevent you from just, hey, I'm gonna move to Ghana, blah blah blah. So what we've done is just looked into different countries to see where we can do it without not a long, lengthy, drawn out process. But me personally, I would take all my assets, get rid of everything, put them into money, and I would move definitely back to the continent of Africa.
Mm.
Well, yeah, without a doubt, no hesitation. The U.S. money is longer there, and so you can go buy you some land, build a house, and shoes, live like kings and
Wow.
queens.
And I'm gonna definitely take you up on that, man. Get and have a sidebar conversation with you because, yeah.
Now we have we've identified a list of places that we feel like we would want to move.
Mhm.
And it's just more so about getting my parents to buy into it. My siblings, I don't, well, only one I think will kind of give me a pushback, but the other two, I think they'll be game.
Okay. Yeah, because my brother and I, we were talking about looking at getting some land, man, and just building our own. So,
But you got to have somebody over there you can trust. You
right.
know, you be putting all this money in, and then they've built a hut on
Exactly.
you.
Right.
So you have to have somebody there you can trust and know the language. Um, so it's just about being smart about it.
Okay. Well, after that episode, as we continue with the Project 2025 conversation, we're going to get into the inequity gap. So how Project 2025 will widen the divide between the haves and the have-nots. And um,
They got to read it. Like I've read like bits and pieces, but a lot of it,
yep,
just kind of skipping around. And if you, they, I just feel like everybody needs to read it and take a good opportunity to put their cell phones down, put social media down, put the westerns down, and really just read about what this looks like and for the future of this country that we currently live in, and make a decision that's best for them as they move forward. But it's really something to take you back. I almost think you back in the 1930s.
right, yep. And the two people that we have coming on, I think one, as you all know, is a millionaire, and he's been on the show before. I'm not going to give his name, but has climbed his own personal ladder and has broadened himself around the world and just kind of really educating people on how to build wealth and generational wealth and what does that look like for different individuals. But then the lady that we got coming on, statistician, statistician. I mean, can throw out a lot of numbers, has a few books out, and like I said, was one of the first people I reached out to in regards to the topic, and she was like, Psh, "Y'all want me on the show? Cool." She's like, "But tell them I'm coming with my data and tell them to be ready." I said, Psh, "Hey,
Which
I
is
love
important.
data." I said, "I love data." So she throws out a lot of numbers, but extremely wealth of knowledge. Um, both of them tag teaming on the show. It should be a really, really phenomenal episode. So tune in. That's what day is that? That's October 24th. And then, of course, we have to keep it in education. What does the future of education look like under Project 2025? I mean, we've already seen changes, K through 12. We've already seen changes in higher ed, different bills being passed. Um, One of the bills being passed here in the state of Texas is the reason why some people think this is the reason why it's our final season, but that's not the case. However, um, I cannot tell you, like, just reading the educational um, section within this long document, like, I was appalled at the transformational change that these individuals are trying to put into place for education across the board, K through 16. Like,
Why? Why were you appalled? We live in Texas.
well,
I'm not sure why you were shocked. I
yeah,
mean, look
you got
who
a point. You
Ted
got a
Cruz is our guy.
Yeah,
You know, during the ice storm, he went to warm weather. That's
yeah,
and that's all I'm going to say about that.
yeah,
I'm not appalled at all. I'm just surprised it took this long to put it into place.
yeah. It's a good point. It's a good point. So yeah, so we got quite a few people in the higher ed circle that are really going to share some inside knowledge. I think the reason why listeners want to tune in for that episode is, you hear all the hoopla, you know exactly about some of the Senate bills, but to really understand the strategic plan and the steps that have already been placed and the reasons why, I think our listeners are going to be like, oh, now the pieces are starting to come together.
Facts,
So,
facts.
um, we really got some people that's going to come in and really connect a lot of those dots for you. So make sure you tune in. And last but not least, so I have to say with this final series, Larry and I decided we wanted to have some fun, and so there's going to be a lot of laughs, a lot of tears. probably a lot of eyebrows raised. But our final series for this season is going to be um, Life Stage, the drama unfolds. And so we're definitely going to be looking into a variety of different areas. But our first area that we're going to talk about,
God dang parents.
the drama unfolds, exploring the secret lives of PTA politics. Whew.
These parents.
I think when we think about the Parent Teacher Association, we think about the role that it plays and the importance and value that it assists with. Um, assists with different educational areas, right? So I mean by that grade levels. Um, but there are a lot of things that are behind the scenes that I think a lot of people don't really get a chance to hear. Um, I've listened to stories from just conversations that my wife has had with other people, right? So she's had multiple conversations. She's a part of PTA, and and so I was like, wow, like I had no clue. Like that's what goes on. You know what I mean? And so um, was able to connect with the National PTA Association, and some of their past presidents reached out to them, and one of them actually replied, "Yes, I would love to come on the show." And I was like, "Really? Like you're one of the past presidents?" And this young lady was like, "Let me tell you." And I was like, "Well, hold on. Make sure
Right,
you
right.
write it down." And be able
But
to
you know
do
what's, go ahead, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
that. Go
This,
ahead, bro. Go ahead, man.
I find it amazing how much, like, you talk to people nowadays and how much it's changed. Because growing up, my mom was, I don't know if she was part of the PTA, but she was heavily involved in it. When they did all their things in my elementary school, during our tenure, it was my sister, my brother, and I. My mom was heavily involved in at the PTA things. Heck, they were doing cakewalks. So to me, PTA looked like, oh, we're gonna do fun things, make sure the kids are taken care of, make sure the schools are taking care of their business, uh, fact checking the principal, and then we're gonna have fun. We're gonna put on carnivals, blah 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 blah. Now I hear about the PTAs, and is my son this or I'm this, and I want best for this kid or that kid, or even these parents are involved and these parents are not. And then the conflict happens because the involved parents are looking at these other parents like you ain't doing nothing. So it, I don't have kids, and I'm glad because I don't want to be part of no PTA. But it's crazy how much in my mind it has changed from what I witnessed with my mom versus what I hear other individuals talk about.
Like, and I won't give it away, but I will say this, that I think what surprised me was, of course, when you have any organization that's volunteer, you're going to have problems because, it's like, I'm not getting paid for this. I can feel like I can go out and
Thanks.
say whatever I want to say, you know what I mean? But the intentionality of some parents to go after the children of other members of the PTA was astonishing to me because I was like, wow, like, so you're going to take your anger and frustration out on my kid? Nah, that ain't finna happen. And then, of course,
You see it in Little League football, Little League baseball. They the same parents, just a different setting, different stage, and a different platform. And when they get to that platform and they feel like another kid is like not performing up to the potential that their kid is, then what you think? Who you think they're gonna point the blame at?
man,
Fingers are definitely gonna start pointing, especially when there's a difference of color.
Yep. Yep. So tune in to the drama. As you all know, I think that's going to be a phenomenal episode. And the next, the dark side of the music industry. And this is interesting because I think it's kind of came up with the whole Kendrick Lamar, you know what I'm saying? And just a lot of things that I think that people already know that happens in the music industry, but to really have an opportunity to kind of dig deep into why. Like, I mean, we think it's because of sales, but it's actually deeper than that.
Facts.
Yeah.
What's crazy is my what I call my portable team. We were having a conversation about how music impact us back in 1980s, where it's more Public Enemy, NWA, a few other music artists that were speaking positivity. Now, take it, they had their negative songs too, but they spoke more into positivity, us coming together, unity, blah 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 blah. And now the songs that these kids get to listen to, I'm like, damn, who's the role model? Um, I mean, as much as Cardi B and I have been in a relationship for a long time, but when she Gail gonna kill me. When she came out with the WAP song, I was like, come on now, like what you doing? So not only is it where it was previously impacting the guys, now the girls got different type of artists that's heavily impacting how they interact and how they go about doing their business. So I'm very much looking forward to that conversation because especially in the Black community, I can say the music has heavily impacted us. I don't hear too much about other cultures having that, but then again, I'm not in that culture, so it should be a very interesting conversation.
I think the thing that hits for me, man, is the fact that the power and influence that music has over everybody, but particularly our youth.
Facts.
And like you said before, NWA, like public, like all of those individuals, they had entire songs or albums where they spoke to a lot of the injustices that were going on, right? And so
Absolutely.
so now our children are being so programmed to think about like, oh, hey, I got to act this way or be this type of person, to where when the artist actually put in some dope lyrics that relate to what's really going on in America, like the kids can't hear it because they've already been programmed to hear the negativeness, the whackness, the wildness that music produces, right? Like I sit up here and I think about the Kendrick Lamar, like I'm just talking, think about, not like us, right? Like in his third verse, he's breaking down and sharing some high intellectual, I don't want to say some other stuff, but stuff, you know what I'm saying, that I think really resonates with me, right? But to my children, they're like, well, I can't really resonate to that. They want to hear about, oh yeah, he talking bad about Drake, you know what I'm saying, blah blah,
That's
you know what
all that
I'm saying.
matters.
And that's what's heard, necessarily not necessarily bringing the emphasis on the third piece, and so the third verse, excuse me. And so like I think our music has changed, definitely changed. And you have some artists out there that's trying to really change the narrative, but
They're
I
not
don't.
being heard.
Yeah, they're not being
They're
heard.
not being heard.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you go back into date, you look at the music that our parents listened to back in the 60s and 70s. In the 60s and 70s, they was all about making love and all this kind of stuff, hence of why all of them was having kids, you know what I'm saying? And then you go, I mean, think about it, how big, like you got 6 or 7 kids, and like our grandmothers was having 8 or 9 kids. Why? Because the only music they had was love making type of music. Like it pushed for that. And then you go into the 80s and you start doing them crack babies, and the the kid output decreased because of the music that we listen to. The violence increased. You go into the 90s, it definitely heightened. You know what I'm saying? And now, yeah, but we'll address that during that episode. But it should be a great episode because I think the music influence has definitely had made a heavily impact on the Black community. And I think if others want to chime in of how has it impacted their community during that time, I think it'd be great to hear that component too.
Yeah. And the two guys we got coming in, man. One um, reached out to LinkedIn. I mean, this brother has some phenomenal experience working within the hip hop community, and I believe actually is a professor or teacher of hip hop. And so, um, really excited to hear what this brother's going to share with us. All right, and then our final episode to close us out: drama in the bedroom, how to keep the peace and ignite the passion. And guess who we bringing back?
Goody!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She's back and tag teaming with a really good friend of hers. And so, if you all didn't get a chance to listen
I'm gonna have
to,
to tell my mama not to tune in every week.
I was just about to say, I don't know if it's going to be on that one or not. Thank you.
Nah, you don't need to be on that one. You don't need to be on that one. Goody. But the thing about I love about her, she's straightforward, but she's telling so much of the truth. You know what I'm saying? And you just gotta respect her for it. I mean, you might not like her delivery or may like the words she's saying, but she keep it 100.
yeah, yeah. And the young lady she bringing in with her, Dr. Lex, I think Lex, something like that. Haven't had the opportunity to cross her paths, but just reading her bio and things that she does, it's gonna be a good
She's
episode,
friends
man.
with Goody.
Yeah. So um, it's gonna be a really good episode, and I think it's always been one of our highest um, live viewed episodes, and so
Facts.
I'm excited to see what this does for us. And so then, of course, we wrap it up with our final episode where we'll be just kind of bringing them all together, giving our listeners an opportunity to just kind of chime in, give their impressions on our final season, and really just kind of give us feedback on really how they've hopefully enjoyed the podcast over these 5 seasons. And that's I'll end it there.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Hoping that we really impact some individuals and have their mind to start thinking in a different way. And let's get it, man.
Yeah. So as always, I got a quote for you, brother. This one is not as long as the normally ones will. It's actually pretty short, but just to kind of give them a little taste. It says, "The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be." Ralph Emerson. So the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. And so I pray and hope that our listeners listen to a lot of the words that are being shed over these next few weeks, and hope that they heed it, take it in, and decide to be a different person after receiving the information.
And go out and make a difference, especially in your community.
Yep.
Yeah. So, with that being said, happy Thursday. Go watch Thursday Night Football, and we'll see y'all next week.
Peace out.
What you about to get into?
Man, I'm trying to figure out how do I stop this recording, bro? You know?
You already stopped it. Oh, dang.
Oh, here it is. I got it.